he's got an outside chance for the Cy Young.
It would be pretty cool to see a Cy Young, MVP, and World Series in a year, and there's a very real possibility he could do that.
I mean, if you like 100 miles an hour, wipe out breaking stuff, and the best splitter in the game.
これらの言葉は殿堂入り投手、元チームメイト、そして対戦相手として大谷選手を見てきた米国代表監督たちが今シーズンのサイ・ヤング賞獲得に向けて口を揃えて語った言葉です。投手専念なら野球界最高、サイ・ヤングは取れる、頭がおかしいと思われながらもスモルツ氏は言い続けてきました。しかし今、2026年大谷選手は二刀流フル稼働で開幕を迎えています。2025年には投手復帰初年度にして55本塁打、4度目の満票 MVP、 ワールドシリーズ2連覇、 NLCS では史上初となる1試合3本塁打、10奪三振という怪物的な活躍で MVP を受賞しました。しかしサイ・ヤング賞だけはまだ手にしていません。なぜ殿堂入り投手はここまで言い切れるのか。2021年から取れない理由が見当たらないと言い続けてきたスモルツ氏、その確信は年を経るごとにさらに強くなっていきます。まずはその原点となる2021年の映像からご覧ください。
Is he the 2021 AL Cy Young?
How about that? I tell you what, I've been the one saying, you know, and I know it looked early on when I made these statements that, okay, Smoltz finally lost his mind. I said he could be the best pitcher in the American League. He could be the best pitcher in our game. And they're like, what? I mean, slow down. No, I mean it. And you can make that claim that with this new revised era that we're in, that we're not going to have this great gap of innings missed. Now, if there's a great gap of innings missed, it's going to be harder for him to make that claim. Everyone has a bad clunker. Take everyone's one clunker out, and I still maintain that this guy has a chance to win the Cy Young. The Angels are probably not going to the playoffs, so he is going to have things and opportunities presented to him that might be viewed as an opportunity to win an award or two. Why don't we just save everybody the time and give him the MVP now, because that's what's going to happen. He could never get another hit the rest of the season. He's still going to win it. Your question's a valid one. He's got an outside chance for the Cy Young.
Shohei Ohtani is, I can't say enough. There's no words to describe it. I said this 3 years ago and people thought I lost my mind, but that's okay. I've lost my mind a bunch on some things that I've said. I said if it's a hypothetical, if he never hits and he pitches 1 year and all he does is pitch, he'd be the best pitcher in baseball. Well, I'm without a doubt, I don't have any reservations. I don't have any like what ifs. If all he did was pitch, which he'll never do, he would be the best pitcher in baseball. That just tells you what you need to know about his athleticism, how good of a feel he has, and he can not only hit, but he can pitch. And the second half is going to be very interesting for the Dodgers and how they get him ready to do whatever they may see in September and October.
And I remember heard you saying early this year that he had the best slider that you have ever seen, and coming from you, that means a lot.
He's got a feel that you just can't teach, and a desire, and a listen. He has spoke his career into existence. He pre-wrote everything he wanted to do as a teenager, and there's something to be said for that.
一切の疑いもない、迷いもない、もしももない。2021年から言い続けてきた確信がこの言葉に凝縮されています。ではなぜここまで言い切れるのか。その根拠となる5つの理由があります。大谷選手の投手としての武器の中でスモルツ氏が最も強く反応した球種があります。スプリッターです。スモルツ氏自身もこの球を現役時代に使い殿堂入りへと導いた球種です。だからこそその分析には誰にも出せない重みがあります。ではご覧ください。
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to throw a split, but the one that we're going to show you via the video, this pitch is unbelievable. It takes a dive, it gets to the plate and then just tumbles. He's behind the ball. You got to be behind the ball when you throw a split, and you got to have the same action that you would have when you're throwing a fastball. And everything right there to the hitter screams fastball, and the ball just drops out. And what I'm impressed about is he throws it to both hitters. It's that good. He can throw it on both sides of the plate. And look, this pitch, we don't see it as much anymore, but I'm going to say right now it's one of the best splitters I've seen with the velocity of fastball. And see where he's got his hands behind the ball. It looks like when you kind of, it looks like he's got this version of a split. And what I mean by this version, there's the horseshoe going that way. Typically, you would throw this version of a split. So it was hard to tell by the screen exactly where he's got it, but I can tell you whether it's that version or this version, it's flat out nasty. And the whole action is, again, getting behind the pitch so that when you get here, the rest is history. The grip allows the ball to come out and just tumble down.
スモルツ氏が完全にはわからないという球が実際の試合でどう機能しているのか、デローサ氏が試合映像とともに数字で示しています。
On that pitch back for me. This almost hollowed out Jake Bauer's ribs. 99 a foot in, so now splitty away, he's got to swing at it. So pause that for me and bring up his split numbers because it's the best pitch in the game. Shohei Ohtani split. Career splitter stats. Guys are 34 for 340. Opponent batting average of 100. Opponent slug of 150. Given up 3 bombs on his entire career.
Is that good?
I mean, if you like 100 miles an hour, wipe out breaking stuff, and the best splitter in the game, and then he went to the splitty the remainder of the game and was punching tickets. This is wipeout stuff.
どうやって投げているのか完全にはわからないとスモルツ氏が言ってしまう球を全投球の 7% しか使わないのに被打率 1-0 で支配している。しかし大谷選手の恐ろしさはこの魔球を最初から持っていたわけではないことにあります。2022年シーズン、大谷選手は MLB 史上初の投打ダブル規定到達という偉業を達成しながら、その途中で全く新しい球種を完成させました。100マイルのターボシンカーです。その年の6月までシンカーは持っていないと語っていた球種を二刀流のシーズン途中に開発し、マウンドで機能させてしまったのです。
John, Shohei Ohtani recently invented a new pitch, a sinker that's 100 miles an hour. It's a turbo sinker, if you will. And he just invented it in the middle of the season. And it is the hardest pitch with the most movement for a strikeout that we have seen in the last 3 years. John, you're a Hall of Famer. You're one of the best to ever do it. How difficult is it to just make up a pitch in the middle of the season and it be as good as Shohei Ohtani's sinker?
Well, it's really difficult if all you do is pitch, right? I mean, he's doing both. He's doing the tremendous ability to hit and then to pitch. I think he's I think he's one of the best pitchers in the game, and I know that he's the best player in the game when you combine the both that he can do. He's so gifted on the mound. And look, it's a little easier when your team's out of it to try to invent different things to move forward in your career. But nonetheless, to do it on the spot and in the middle of what he's doing is off the charts. I'm a big fan of Ohtani. I make the claim that he is and can be the greatest pitcher in our game, but he's not just pitching. So that kind of puts him back a little bit, but not so much that you can't talk about him in the top 5 category of pitchers in our game, just on the fact that he pitches once every 6 days and hits the other 5. This guy's rewriting record books, and can't wait for him to just really see full circle what his career can be.
6日に1回登板し、残りの5日は打者として出場している中で、トップ5の投手と断言するスモルツ氏。しかし先発投手が5日に1度のマウンドに向けて4日間かけて体を整える中、大谷選手はバッティング練習、スカウティング、毎日の打席、デッドボールのリスクを全て抱えながらマウンドに上がっています。つまり制約の中でもこのレベルということです。では、その制約は具体的にどれほどのものなのか、そしてそれでもなお圧倒し続ける大谷選手の異次元性とは何か。スモルツ氏が人々は理解していないと繰り返すのはこの現実のことです。
John, you said, I believe it was yesterday, that if all Shohei Ohtani did was pitch, he'd be the best pitcher in baseball. So I want to ask, it might sound a little convoluted, but I want to ask, like, as long as he's hitting, what percent of his potential as a pitcher can he reach? Like, is he going to be at 70%, 75% of what he could be if all he was doing was pitching? And can you take us into what he's missing because he's hitting that all the other pitchers are getting? Like what is he losing out on? So
well, he doesn't have the luxury of he can't waste any moment. He's got a lot of energy he puts in every single day. And as a starting pitcher, those 4 days in between, yeah, you got some work to do, but you rest for that 5th day. You're geared up. You're fresh. Your chances of being successful once every 5 days go way up when you don't have a lot of other things you got to do. Take batting practice, go over scouting reports, hit, foul one off your foot, off your knee. There's a lot of things that get you banged up as an everyday player that wear you out. He's an amazing, freakish athlete, and people don't understand what takes away from his ability to be a freakish pitcher. And so we're never going to see anything like this again, and we're never going to get a chance to see what I've just said, but I think it takes away a big percentage of his greatness because every day, look, he can't afford, like, let's say he's slumping at the plate, he can't bring it to the mound, or let's say he's not pitching well at the mound, he can't bring it to the plate. He's thinking about something, has programmed his mind and body to do something every single day that is not just for one trick. He's a two-trick pony that he does it at elite level.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when Ohtani was coming back. And we thought, could you just have him for one inning and make him a closer as opposed to trying to move him along so he can get to 3 innings and then 4 innings and 5 innings. And I don't know if you run the risk more of Tommy John as a starter than you do a closer, but you were both.
Well, I can tell you this. Everyone thought it was going to be easier on my elbow when I went to the bullpen, and it was worse because you're up and you're getting hot all the time, and you don't always get in. I had 125, stopped keeping track, 125 times I was up in a season. I got into 78 games, so imagine all those other times that you don't get in because the score doesn't work. They score a run or either way. So it's got to be controlled. The problem with Ohtani is he could come up in the bottom of the 8th. So when does he warm up? So the 9th inning doesn't work as well as and you could make it that way where he could control the 9th inning, and let's say it's his day to pitch, and you're up by 6. So the closer's role.
Why are you adding logic to this? We're trying to go viral here. That Smoltz says Ohtani should be a closer.
I'll tell you this: there is a greater possibility that could happen in the postseason than a regular season game. So I think there's things that can be worked out. He's such a freak of nature that I probably wouldn't take him long to get ready. He's so athletic. I did the last game. Everything about him looks great on the mound, and I know I take grief no matter what I say because there's people on the other side, right? So that's why I don't have any social media. But I gave him the ultimate compliment I could give somebody, and believe me, they got on me for this because they didn't understand what I was saying. I said, it's hypothetical. It'll never happen. If he never hits for 1 year and just pitches, he'll be the best pitcher in baseball, period, hands down. It's not even a debate. He's trying to navigate one of the greatest hitters of all time and trying to pitch. He's got so many things and so many balls in the air that he's trying to juggle. If all he did was concentrate on pitching, what my eyes see and what he's able to do, hands down. Now, Jacob deGrom was one of the best ever when he was healthy, and now that he's come back, and he had the part-time hit, like when he was in the National League. But all he had to do was think about pitching. And it's a tough job, but all you have to do is think about pitching. It's a lot easier than if you have to think about getting, batting practice or scouting reports. My back's a little tweak. I fouled one off my calf. All those things that never go into the play of a pitcher. And so I don't know if people thought I was slighting them or if I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Shohei Ohtani is throwing 100 miles an hour, and he's going to end up leading baseball perhaps in home runs. I'm not sure which he's better at. I think both are hard to do. I'm trying to think of the most talented baseball players I've ever seen. Dave Winfield always struck me as an insanely talented guy. Are you kind of blown away? Did you think he would be this good in the bigs?
No, there's no way you could predict this. As a matter of fact, I thought they kind of rushed both aspects of it. I really felt bad about his arm when he came in, and of course he had Tommy John, so now that he's recovered from it, he hasn't gotten the reps on the mound to even give the universe an opportunity to see how good of a pitcher he is. And the hitting aspect is just something phenomenal. If you'd have told me that he would end up with 33 home runs for the year, I'd say pencil in MVP. Give him the MVP right now. That's how great of a year he's having. It's only the first half. I know we are in an era where there's a ton of home runs, and proportionally, Babe Ruth hit way more home runs proportionally than the league did as opposed to Ohtani. But what Ohtani is doing, you just can't comprehend. As a pitcher my whole life,
I had to spend the whole week trying to get ready for 5 days to pitch. He's spending the week sharing energy and trying to do both. It's just not possible to do this at the level he's doing it. And I tell people all the time, and I know they shake their head at me like I'm crazy. I'm telling you, if he never hit again and all he concentrated on pitching, he'd be the best pitcher in the American League, hands down. And I know that's a big time statement to say, but when you're a pitcher, you need about 90 to 100 starts to figure it out. He's what, roughly a quarter of the way there? And he's having to share the duties with a high level, by the way, offensive attack that he puts on. So this is as talented as it gets. Maybe Bo Jackson, when he played baseball and football, a combination of power and speed. Deion Sanders, again, with the speed and playing two sports. This guy's playing one sport, but two different positions and making it look like it's no big deal.
2021年から削られながらもナンバーワンと言い続けてきたスモルツ氏。では、その能力は実際の試合でどこまで影響力を持つのか。スモルツ氏が最もはっきりと断言する領域が次の理由です。
With Shohei Ohtani has been unbelievable on the mound. He gave up his first run in his most recent start. He ballooned his ERA to 0.50. He struck out 10 guys in 6 innings and was again masterful on the mound. John, you've had high praise throughout our time on this show talking about Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher. Could we see Shohei Ohtani win a Cy Young Award this year?
Well, based on the, I don't want to say watered down statistics of innings pitched, the answer is yes. You know, because he's spread out and they're going to take their time with him, and because he does obviously superstar hitter too, you know, you typically would think that it would take about 180 innings, but 160 innings, I think, if I'm mistaken, is one of Cy Young. So the answer is yes, but I've always felt that. Like, I felt like we've talked about it, and, you know, whatever people think, I don't care because I'm right, is that the fact is that he's showing what he can do now on the mound. He's always showed what he could do at the plate. But he didn't hit in this last game, so he was totally focused on pitching, which is a unique thing, by the way, because he doesn't do that very often. Yeah. And I'm just telling you that his arm is so good and his ability to manipulate the baseball is so gifted that I would not be shocked if his ERA is well below his batting average, and that's not saying his batting average is going to be like 320. So let's just say his batting average is 260. I think his ERA is going to be lower than his batting average, which would be one of the most incredible things that you can think of.
I think he wants it. And that's an interesting conversation because everybody that does what they do, you know, like Paul Skeens wants it, Tarek Skubal wants it. But Shohei, seemingly, when he sets his mind to something, for example, the year he was out with his first year with the Dodgers, he wasn't pitching. He wanted to do something different. So he went 50-50. He started the 50-50 club. He's back on the mound now, and he's always talked about pitching, and he views himself as a pitcher. I think he wants to win a Cy Young Award, and I think he knows that innings conversation is going to be a thing. So, one, do you agree with that? But two, I think I'm excited to see him push that extra inning per start because I think he knows he needs those innings.
I think if he's on any other team, this wouldn't be a discussion. But because the Dodgers are in such an elite position, you know they're going to manipulate their roster and their pitching rotation because their only eye on the prize is winning another and manufactured third world championship in a row. So I think that hurts him a little bit. But I also think they have the utmost respect for Shohei Ohtani. As long as it's not going to hurt the future of the playoffs, they'll give him that opportunity. Why wouldn't you? He's franchise. He's the franchise. He's made you a ton of money, and you've paid him a lot of money that's coming later. So I think if it was on any other team that wasn't in the position the Dodgers are, he would absolutely pitch 180 to maybe 200 innings. So I think you're right on that, and I think he's going to utilize his mind, his will, and his extreme talent to put to bed once and for all that he can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. Before we move on from Shohei, an interesting question for you that I had earlier this week that kind of sparked a lot of interesting answers. How do you view Shohei? And it's interesting because I think a lot of people from Japan, and Shohei himself included, view him as a pitcher first. But a lot of Americans, I think, view him as a hitter first, pitcher second, as a Hall of Fame pitcher watching Shohei, but an American. How do you view Shohei Ohtani? Hitter first or pitcher first?
Well, I've always viewed him a pitcher first, but it's skewed because they here in the States have only get to see him as a starter. I mean, very few as a starter. He's been hurt.
Yeah.
So that interaction of what is he, for sure here in the States, he's a hitter because that's what they've gotten to see him do. Yeah. But now they're going to have their minds blown away when they see the end result of what he's able to do. He's going to have a bad game. Everyone does. He's going to have 2 bad games. But what you're seeing is the talent coming out, and I believe what's in his heart. He wanted to be the best pitcher in the major leagues. Oh, by the way, he wanted to break the mold and be a two-way player, which he's done. And now he's won MVP after MVP, and he's going to continue to do that as long as he stays healthy. So to me, I've always seen his arm as one of the greatest assets, period. Because if you ask me today, Game 7, what's more important for the Dodgers, him on the mound or him at the plate? It's not even close for me. It's him on the mound. Because his impact is going to be far greater than his ability to get 4 at-bats, which he may get walked 4 times and not even get an opportunity to hit. You can't do anything about him on the mound if he's on. He impacts the game that much more. So that's why, beyond his ability to not only hit home runs and steal bases, when he's doing both, it limits a little bit what he can do at the plate. And people don't understand that because he's not going to steal 50 bags if he's pitching and hitting. So because we got to see him do that as a hitter without pitching, it skews everybody, and rightfully so.
I think we got to see at least a little taste of it the other day. It was really the first start. I don't remember. It's been a long time that he's been able to be a starting pitcher and not be in the lineup. And, man, his stuff was the best I've seen it in a long, long time.
And I will say this. I think long-term, if he keeps doing this, long-term, the Dodgers are going to have to give him that day off at the plate when he pitches. There's going to have to be some rest. This guy's not superhuman where he can just keep doing this until, he's 38 years old. So at some point, this would be a good recipe for the Dodgers and for him.
Yep. And some baseball. And then later in the game, he hit his 50th home run of the season, creating another 50-50 club, by the way. 50 home runs and 50 strikeouts on the season. First player to ever do that in the history of baseball. You've said a lot of bold words about how you feel about Shohei Ohtani. What do you say about him now?
Just validates everything that I've said, that anyone thought I was crazy. There you go. Enough said. I mean, he is by far the biggest talent we've ever seen. I am buying his arm like nobody else could buy his arm, even after the injury and the second time. I think he's a shutdown #1 starting pitcher. And then he's an MVP every year waiting to happen to surprise you in some fashion. Never pitches again. The contract's worth it. Look what he did last year. Look what he did at his feet. Look what the stolen bases, all those things being said, I get it. But I think what he's doing just kind of reinforces that we're never going to see this again. We might see something close, but we'll never see it again.
スモルツ氏が語る第7戦ならマウンドを選ぶという評価。現役時代に大谷選手と同じチームでプレーし、その姿を最も近くで見てきたカーショー氏も同じ結論に至っています。
Tonight, the Dodgers unveil their championship banner, and you can hear all the hubbub in the background as they set out to become just the 5th team in MLB history ever to three-peat. And they do so with what could be their best roster yet, even though it no longer includes past MVP, 3-time Cy Young Award winner, 11-time All-Star, and future first-ballot Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw, who's here with us. Now, how odd is it for you to be sitting here instead of over there in uniform?
It's pretty weird, Bob, but this is such a treat for me to get to do, and I'm just here. I'm excited to be here for opening day.
What is it about this Dodger team besides the obvious quality of its roster? We were talking earlier about the culture and the feeling in the clubhouse.
Well, it's a roster full of superstars. You know, it starts with Shohei, obviously, but all the way down, Freddie, Mookie, Yama, all these guys are superstar caliber players, but they have one goal in mind, and that's to win the World Series every single year. So they come to the game every day trying to win one game, and then everything else kind of takes care of itself, and it trickles all the way down to the 25th, 26th guy on the roster.
Unique is a word that's often misused when people really mean rare, but Shohei Ohtani is genuinely unique. You have been in the clubhouse with him, in the dugout with him, on the road with him. What is it as a person that sets him apart?
It's his drive. You know, I think to be able to be the best hitter in the world and the best pitcher in the world, or at least in the conversation of both of those, it takes an incredible amount of drive, and he never gets deterred from that. And I'm excited to see a full year of him on the mound as well as at the plate, and it would be pretty cool to see a Cy Young, MVP, and World Series in a year, and there's a very real possibility he could do that.
スモルツ氏が言い続けてきた第7戦ならマウンドだという評価を最も近くで見てきたカーショー氏も同じ結論で裏付けています。さらにカーショー氏はサイ・ヤング賞、MVP、ワールドシリーズ制覇、それを1年で達成する姿が見られたら最高、彼ならそれをやる現実的な可能性があるとも語っています。しかしスモルツ氏はここに最も重要な一言を加えます。史上最も支配的な投手の一人と称されるデグロム選手と並べて語られる能力を持ちながら、その試合支配力もまだフルで発揮されていないと。ではご覧ください。
And DeGrom being one, Jacob DeGrom being one with the Mets, and how he is performing and how he throws and what gas he brings, as well as his ability to hit too. And then there's Ohtani, who is a unicorn. What are your thoughts on these two guys and what we can expect of them, not just this year but long term? What do you think?
Yeah, I make no bones about it. I did Jacob DeGrom's debut for MLB Network when he came up and faced the Yankees, and I've been known to make some kind of outrageous statements that don't, by the way, turn into too many outrageous statements. They end up being kind of in line with how I think, in my opinion. But I said he'd be the best pitcher the Mets have ever seen when he made his debut. That's how much I fell in love with a guy that I thought could mature into one of the best, and he is. The most dominant pitcher that we've seen in maybe ever. And so that being said, if he stays healthy, of course, the Mets are always in the conversation of, oh, you don't want to play the Mets if they get to the postseason and stay healthy. Having said that, I'm going to give you another outrageous statement about Ohtani. Ohtani is a special player that, you know, I think everyone's rooting for, but the reality of how much longer can this not take away from each great talent that he has. I will say this about Ohtani. And again, when I saw him, come into the league, I didn't think he could stay healthy in the beginning because the task he was trying to pull off was monumental. And he needed time on both sides, both from a pitching side and from a hitting side. You combine the both, and he's had this super kind of freakish athlete that I hope we continue to see. But if all he did was pitch, he would be on the trails of a Jacob DeGrom. He's that good. He has that kind of stuff that he has wipeout, dominant, number one ace stuff. Hypothetically, if they got to the postseason and you had to pick and choose what's the greatest asset for that club, based on their pitching needs, the greatest asset for me is his pitching ability.
The biggest thing is look at how he rehabbed the first time and make some changes. But I think the biggest thing he's got to be able to do is convince himself to not throw 94-mile-an-hour sliders and 100-mile-an-hour fastballs all the time. I mean, he's pulled off incredible miracles up to this point. I said, look, I wasn't being negative. I'm a huge fan of his. I said it's an impossibility for him to stay healthy at the way he was going. And it's proven to be true only because the force he puts on his body and the lack of rest he gets. I mean, it's truly the greatest player I've ever seen. And so if he's going to be the dynamic player that we want to see and open doors for future players, I hope that he can rest at 97, 96 and tune it up every once in a while, throw that split and slider, not with maximum effort, and be able to just navigate the mound. Even though he won't make 30 starts, it's still fun to watch him dominate on the mound when he's dominating on the counterpart, when he gets in the box, in the plate.
さて、いかがでしたか？今回はジョン・スモルツ氏をはじめとする MLB のレジェンドたちが語る今シーズン大谷選手がサイ・ヤング賞を獲得する5つの理由をご紹介しました。 球界最高のスプリット、シーズン途中に完成させたターボシンカー、削られながらもトップ5の成績、第7戦でマウンドを選ぶ試合支配力、そしてそれでもまだ完成していないという最大の可能性。スモルツ氏が取れない理由が見当たらないと言い続けてきた根拠がこの5つに詰まっています。2026年二刀流フル稼働で臨む大谷選手のサイ・ヤング賞への挑戦が今まさに始まっています。個人的に最も印象的だったのはスモルツ氏の一貫した姿勢です。頭がおかしいと言われながらも2021年から一度もブレることなく言い続け、その言葉が年を経るごとに現実に近づいていく大谷選手の投手としての本質を誰よりも早く、誰よりも深く見抜いていたのだと改めて感じました。日本から来た大谷選手が殿堂入り投手が5年間言い続けた予言を一つ一つ実現していく姿をこれからも一緒に見届けていきましょう。皆さんは2026年の大谷選手はサイ・ヤング賞を獲得できると思いますか？ぜひコメント欄で教えてください。最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。この動画が良かったと思っていただけましたら、ぜひ高評価とチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いします。